Welcome to Music Minute at Epiphany Lutheran Church in Richmond, Virginia. I'm Kevin Barger, the Director of Music Ministry. This is our opportunity this evening to look at our hymnody for tomorrow in worship. We're going to start with Let Us Go Now to the Banquet. This is from El Salvador, and it's a Spanish Latin hymn. It comes from a broader work. It was a complete mass, in fact, is where it came from. It was composed in the late 1970s. It focuses on a welcome to all the poor and hungry to the banquet of justice and good. It was composed while the composer was working closely with the Archbishop Oscar Romero. And the Archbishop he had commissioned the work and was assassinated before it was finished. So they kept working on it, but then there were death threats that were occurring, and that forced the composer to live in Nicaragua for 10 years, I believe it was. Authorities were very upset over the idea of sharing everything with everyone that comes through in here. And apparently, however that was said in Spanish, carried a stronger message than what we hear even in English, and that was really frowned upon. The music is a Spanish fiesta, and it appeared in the movie Romero. So if you think you've heard it before, maybe that's where it is, or maybe it's just because you sung it here at Epiphany with us before. This is Let Us Go Now to the Banquet. So kind of ironic that it comes across like that. And when I pick these pieces for you on Music Minute, I try to give you a different flavor that maybe you don't think of when you actually sing the hymn. So that was a lullaby treatment of that. Obviously, that is not how we sing it in worship. We have complete with tambourines and maracas, and it goes at a much quicker clip. So something very different for you. Next, we're going to move on to the hymn of the day, which is Bread of Life from Heaven. And this is a marriage of actually two hymns that have been put together. And Susan Briel and Marty Haugen are responsible for that. They created a set of bilingual acclamations, if you will. The Santo, or the Holy, 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 which is the Argentine Santo, that creates the refrain of this piece. That's the Holy, Holy, Holy portion. Probably the part you'll recognize the most. Then, the same time, there was this vision of, well, you know what? We need to create a communion hymn that uses that same Santo, Argentine Santo melody. And so what has been created before in the Santo, the Argentine Santo, was the perfect melody, they thought. So they let that stand as the refrain. And then they went to the verses, or the stanzas, and Marty Haugen created that with the Break Now This Bread melody. So two separate melodies squished together, if you will. The refrain is such that assemblies can easily sing it during communion because it's repetitive and it's short. If desired, your stanzas might be alternated with choir or a cantor or different sides of the congregation. So you have lots of flexibility there as well. So this is Bread of Life from Heaven. So I should have mentioned that what that piece did was focused on that refrain that we were talking about, which is probably the part you know a little bit better. Last one, the sending hymn for tomorrow is "O Jesus, I Have Promised," the tune Munich. This was actually written for the confirmation of the author's daughter and two sons, their confirmations. And this is another one of those composers that had multiple careers. He was actually the head of the foreign department of the post office in England. And the tune comes from Germany at the end of the 17th century, thus Munich. And this actually represents the combination of several tunes into one by the composer. And the composer was apparently known to be quite a good organist, although I don't know that I've ever seen anything else by him, so I don't know what that means or not, but this is combining a little bit of English, a little bit of German, and then of course we'll put it into the American stead as we look at Jesus I Have Promised. This is going to be a more contemporary version of this on the organ, and it's a little bit slower, more introspective, and I hope you'll enjoy that. You might have to listen a little bit harder for the melody. So I'm going to switch over to the organ now. Hopefully you didn't have to work too hard to find it, but it was sort of a relaxing version of that. So thank you for joining me this evening and taking a look at our hymns for tomorrow. If you're joining us for worship tomorrow online, that's at 10:30 on YouTube. And if you're coming in person to the sanctuary, where we do strongly encourage masks, particularly since we are singing, those services are at 8:30 and 10:30. We look forward to talking again next week. Take care.